Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Always Moving Podcast. I am your host, Lyndon Suvanto, and today for episode 40, we bring in Jordan Fithian. How are you, sir?
Doing great, my man. Doing great. Appreciate it. Honored to be on the podcast. Number 40, it's big time.
That is a big number.
Absolutely. I'm very excited to be here. My wife's nervous. I'm going to embarrass her, but I'm sure we'll keep it clean and have a lot of fun. So
Yeah. Well, say what you want. We can edit it out or leave it in, however. So for everyone who's not listening, do you want to give a little intro? Maybe I'll just say we met through handball. You were on my rival team. So you were playing for the US, I was playing for Canada. And if you want to just give a shout out who you are, what you do, where you're at.
Yeah, my name's Jordan. I'm married to Jennifer. She's also a women's handball player for the US. We've got two kids. Charlamagne's 8 and Jackson Thomas is 5. They're wonderful. We live in Concord, New Hampshire, about an hour north of Boston. I recently switched jobs, used to work for Hummel, North America, and switched jobs to make cardboard boxes. Better financially for us and a better, my commute went from an hour a day to 5 minutes a day and mostly working from home. So more time with the kids. Spent a lot of time traveling around playing handball for the last 10 years. And now we're going to focus a little bit more on trying to raise kids and have more family time. So that's us. That's kind of who I am. And
That's quick little intro. Yeah. So actually, when I lived in Australia, I worked at a cardboard factory. I was the guy. So I don't know how things happen in the States here, but in Australia, they paid me $30 an hour to just throw a strap over a pallet of cardboard. And it was like once every half an hour, like it was just easy breezy. So it was pretty good fun.
Yeah, we make just about everything you buy in the store on the shelf in a cardboard box. We make all that stuff, but we do it from the forest to the shelf. So we have 8 plants that make the board that we call board, and we take the board and ship it to 67 manufacturer plants around the States. And anything, I work on the Kraft Heinz account. So if you buy a 4-pack of ketchup and mustard and all that, and there's plastic around it, that's coming from us. So it's not as thrilling as working for Hummel. It's not as cool as working for a handball brand in sports, but it's a better position for us as a family. So
yeah, absolutely. And I mean, that's something now that I've been not playing really since COVID, and it's like, playing was fun and everything, but I got to start looking towards the future. And I don't have kids yet, but definitely not going to do it on any handball salary I could make. So,
kids are fun and expensive.
Yeah, that's what my fiance tells me. She always reminds me all the time. So, when did you first start? Because it's always a fun, I think for me, hearing from guys in the US or people in Canada, I think the story of how people get into it is always interesting. And how did you kind of find the sport, and when did you start?
Sure. It started with my wife. We played basketball at Binghamton University in New York. And she graduated in 2006. And at that point in time, the women's residency program was in Cortland, New York, about an hour north of Binghamton. And they would send out mass emails to Division I female athletes that were ending their career and say, hey, you want to come try out? And Jen went and tried out, loved it. That was our man, Christian Guadalupe. And I still can't say his last name, but he was coaching at the time. And she went up and tried out, I think, a week after basketball ended. So like March of 06, fell in love. Made the team or the residency program. And so she started playing, going up there 3 times a week, and did her thing there. And I actually transferred away from Binghamton, went to Emporia State for 2 years back home in Kansas, played ball, finished up my degree, and moved back up to be with her after I graduated because we'd stayed together. God bless her soul. And we we lived in Boston at that time because the women's residency program had ended, and she was in Boston working, and we started playing handball with Boston Team Handball. So my very first time, I'd watched Jen play for 2 years on awful live streams. Had no idea what the sport was, and went to our first practice like August of 2008 then with Boston Team Handball, and I played with them for that first year and learned the game a little bit. First tournament ever was in Chicago, and it was with the New York Athletic Club. I wasn't on a team. I was just traveling with Jen to watch her play, and they're like, hey, we got a roster spot. Back in the day when you could add somebody like Saturday morning, there were no rules.
Someone stayed out late Friday and like, oh damn.
Yeah, exactly. So I didn't expect to play. I'm playing with a bunch of guys that had played in the Olympics. At that point in time, the New York Athletic Club roster at that time was full of guys that had played in the Atlanta Olympics, and these guys that knew what they were doing. And towards the end of a game, Fitzgerald was like, get in there. And I was like, literally have no idea what I'm doing. You call a foul, and I don't know what the foul is. I don't know where to stand. But I got my first experience in Chicago in 08. And the end of that year, towards the end of 08, Christian reached out to Jen and said, hey, there's a team looking for a player of your caliber in Germany.
Yeah.
And Jen looked at me and she goes, you want to go? And I was like, yeah, I'm a small town kid from Kansas. I'd never left the country. I hadn't, we traveled a lot as a family, but only in the States. So we never left the country, and it scared me. And at the same time, it was exciting. And we moved to Germany in 09, July of 09, and she was playing third league. And I happened to get on a 5th division team that had a lot of fun, but they had good players. They were actually really good. And my coach, Borko, was Eastern European and was patient, but at the same time was tough. I did drills I'd never done before. A Division I basketball player, we lifted weights, we did all this stuff, but you've been there, you've been in a gym, and you're rolling around doing somersaults on mats, right? Like I've never.
What is this? I'm like, what is this from Fenway, Alberta? No one's even heard of that place.
and it was quite the experience. I mean, we lived there. I was riding a bike 7 miles in the snow to shovel snow on a driveway to make any sort of money. They never found Jen a job. She played third division and crushed it. I mean, they were really good. My 5th division team was practiced twice a week, and Borko held a throwing session on Wednesday for fun. And we would go to the bar afterwards and drink a lot of beer and play. But we had a ton of fun. Finally ran out of money and everything else in February of that first year, and had to call it quits and come home. So we didn't even finish the season in year 1 in Germany. But we had a wedding to pay for, and my wife has a big family. And in order to pay for that wedding and do that kind of stuff, we had to come home and actually have income. So came home, worked for 5 months, got married, and a buddy of ours that was on the US team, Hans Self, that lived in Germany, dual citizenship, said, hey, there's a spot on my team. You guys want to come back? You can live with us, live with my family. And we'll find Jen a team. And so we went back for a second year, and I joined his team, SK Brukobel, and Jen found a team, Mainz 05, more popular for the soccer, but they have a women's handball team that's very good. That was in Division 2, and we did another 2 years over there. I ended up bouncing around to a couple different teams, and Jen ended up helping Mainz go up to the 1st division after our 3rd year. And then we decided to have kids, and she wanted a doctor that spoke English, and so we came home.
Yeah, that's so cool, man. And like, I love hearing the stories of how it kind of goes. And so when you first went over, because like I've been overseas and stuff, what did you feel on the plane flying out? Because like at this point, you've never left the country. The first time you went over, what were you thinking on the plane when you were flying out? Did you speak any German at all? Did you?
I tend to better express myself if I can cuss. Are we okay to cuss on here, or do we not cuss on here?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I was scared shitless. I mean, we literally packed up everything we had in 2 bags each, I think.
Yeah.
And we got on a flight, and I'd been to Alaska, so I've been on a long flight, but I've never flown overnight.
Yeah.
So we show up at 6 a.m, and I'm, my contacts are blurry. I slept in my contacts. I kind of slept on the plane, and I don't speak any German, although I took it in high school, but obviously
Yeah.
Americans haven't figured it out that if you don't start teaching it at 5 or 10 or whatever, it's, you take 1 year or 2 years in high school and it's worthless. Right. So I could say hello, and we were just expecting some people we've never met to meet us on the other end of the plane. So you get off the plane and you go grab your 2 bags worth of stuff and you go, okay, here we go. And I'll never forget the first day. We got there, they drove us to the apartment. 1 bedroom, I suppose you would call it. I mean, the kitchen is the size of the bathroom. They're across from each other, and there's just 1 big room. So like a studio apartment, I guess.
Yeah.
And Jen had practice that day. So we walked down the hill to the gym, and she practiced that night for the first time after getting off a plane. I think we slept for a couple of hours, and then she had practice that night. And it was nuts. I mean, it was walking into my first practice. Her coach found the team. It was like 20 kilometers away. You had to drive through Sweden, Jesus Christ. You had to drive through Switzerland. You had to drive through Switzerland to get to, it was still in Germany, so you could go a different way, but the quickest way was to drive through Switzerland to get there. And you've never met any of these guys before. You don't know anybody. You don't speak the language. You're just a big dumb American who's never played either. I played a year.
Yeah, that's the thing too. You just went over like fresh.
Yeah. So luckily the guys there were absolutely incredible. It was unbelievable. They took care of me. One of the guys on the team gave me a Vespa so I could get to practice. They would give me rides. He lived in the town that we lived in, so he would give me a ride. I think they ended up giving me 40 euros a month for gas. Yeah. So that was my stipend. Or 5th division doesn't get paid, or somebody, they pay you in beer money basically. So we did it. I mean, by the time I was done there, there was no jealousy. The guys were great, and I learned at an unbelievable rate because I never played before. So, you grow up playing a sport, you learn incrementally, slowly. But if you've never played before, and all of a sudden you can pick it up, and you've got a great coach and great teammates, I went from not knowing that I had to stand on the 9 every time that there was a restart to, I think the last game I was there, I scored 13 goals. I was shooting shots from the backcourt, stuff that you wouldn't believe. Yeah. And it's amazing for a fast. But, the growth there was incredible, and just the experience. I mean, Germany not forces you, but it's a way to get a visa and everything if you go to language school. So we went into an intensive language class, 4 hours every morning, 9 to 1 or something like that, rode the train there. So we learned the language pretty quickly, which was great. And that was also eye-opening. We're in class with people from the Middle East or other people that went to Germany on asylum, right, to escape. And we're there having fun playing handball. So it kind of opened our eyes. Like, many of them thought Americans were great, that we saved them and saved their country and everything else. So it gave me a whole different perspective on life, let alone, I never even expected to leave the country, and now I'm living over there, and you learn a lot from people that have a different walk of life than you have. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah. So when I started going overseas, originally I went to an academy in Denmark. So I went with some friends, and it was like this surreal school experience. It wasn't really this like handball life. But when I moved to France for the first time to actually play for Christian's team, I spoke some French. I knew like the basic stuff, but I got on the plane and I'm just like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, I'm flying over Greenland. It's like a clear night and I could see all the glaciers. I'm like, what is this? And I show up, I have to take a 3-hour train from Paris to Poitiers. And then I show up and there's just like a bunch of the French guys on the team. No one speaks English. I've never met Christian before then. And then like some of the guys, they all do like the side kiss on the cheek. I'm exhausted. I'm like, okay, like this is cool. The next day, it's like a Sunday. The next day is Monday. Christian's like, we'll go to the university because I had a student visa. I was learning French at the university. So Christian's
Nice.
like, we'll just go meet the teachers, we'll hang out, and then Tuesday you can start. And then I get there, they're like, yeah, you can start in 5 minutes. I'm like, oh shit, I don't have a book. I kept it. I have a pen Christian gave me and just my schedule. It was my first day of notes. And then they just threw me in, and it was like, for the first month, I couldn't get my player license. I couldn't get all these different things. So I couldn't play games. I couldn't speak the language. I was in these classes with a large portion was from Asia, and we had a girl from Brazil, a guy Chile. No one spoke English. There was two American girls, thankfully. But for the first month, I'm like, what the hell is this? Like this, what kind of choice was this? And then it all clicked, and it was beautiful. It was the best time ever. But yeah, how did
Did you have an apartment? Were you living with other guys, or were they able to put you up? Or
So I was living with a teammate and his dad, but they had like a big house and then like a side guest house kind of thing. So I had my own little area, which was cool, but it was still like I woke up the next day, I didn't even know where I was, and like my phone doesn't work, all this shit I have to figure out, and it's like, okay, this is life. And then I became addicted to it, and I love it. But it was an experience, I can tell you.
what year was that? What year did you go?
So I went over with Christian in 2015.
Okay. So we went over in 09, and like iPhones had just come out. Like we all had, so like the communication, like we literally had to, we either went to an internet cafe or I was writing a blog at that point in time. And it would take like 10 minutes for the blog to load even. Like it, just the communication was different. So it was like, we weren't talking to people, right? Like we weren't.
I didn't even consider that. That's crazy.
And it's only 10 years ago, but it was, we would go to the internet cafe and you weren't binge watching shows or anything. You were literally trying to do as much stuff, like to communicate with as many people as you could for the hour that you had or whatever. It was very interesting. Did you eat dinner with the family you stayed with then, or were you on your own for that?
No, everyone was super good, and like the teammate I was with spoke some English, and he was super inclusive. I brought him a Wayne Gretzky shirt, like it was this nice peace offering type thing. But it was half the guys didn't speak any English. The other half made fun of my English because that's just what guys are gonna do. And then some of them were like super. They wanted to improve their English, so we worked together. And the first year or the first season, I couldn't speak to half the team, and by the end, I had conversations with everybody because my French had improved so much, and it was just such a cool experience to be like, "Hey, I know you, Greg. What's up?"
We found like you get dumped in the deep end, it's either sink or swim, right? You either learn the language and you communicate, or you're fucked.
Yeah,
so
100%.
I mean, we come to find out the Germans, I don't want to stereotype, but the Germans are a little better than the French at English. Yeah. And find out they all spoke it, all of them.
Yeah.
Some degree. And there were 2 or 3 that were fluent and they had studied in it. And then there were 5 or 6 that were understood everything. And then there were maybe 3 or 4 that, didn't, but come to find out, damn near all of them on the team spoke it, the assholes. But they, you're in Germany and you should learn German. And I get that. I'm the same way. I get it. But it was, it's quite the experience. But if you ever want to learn a language, for people listening out there, go to the country and force yourself to speak it. Because
if you jump in, you can get it. And then there's all, like, I had a podcast talking when I learned French. It was the class in my university, since everyone's from a different country, if you wanted to be friends, you all had to learn French to actually communicate with each other. So we would be like, hey, I want to talk to you. Like, what's this? And then another one that really helped was French rap. It was like, it's super fast, but if you listen to it, first time, maybe you pick up a word. Second time you pick up 2 words, you piece a sentence. It's like, oh shit, I know this.
It's hilarious because that was the same thing. That brings back a memory. German rap, man. As soon as you pick it up, you're like, oh yeah, okay,
I get this. He's talking about water. Okay,
exactly. Yeah, definitely a good way to learn. So,
and then
I don't know about you, but like the experience, practice all week. I ended up halfway through the 2nd year there, I switched from a 4th division club to a 3rd division club, and you practice every night, and just the culture, I guess. Maybe, I don't know if that's the right word, but like if you're late to a practice, you owe a case of beer. If you forget your ball, if you get a straight red card in a game for being an asshole, you owe 2 cases of beer. And Thursday night is beer night, and then it gives you 48 hours to recover, depending on whether Saturdays or Sundays. But you play every weekend, and every game matters because there's no playoffs. And in Germany, they call it the Pokal, but the big tournament that's nationwide, where if you do well, you're a 3rd or 4th division team, and you're going to end up playing a 1st division team or a 2nd division team. I know they have the same thing in France and England, and people are more familiar with soccer, but it's the same thing in handball. And so I think the culture is incredible. A lot of these guys, my second year and in my first year, they were just doing it just to go play. It's like going and playing pickup basketball at night or whatever, but they got a little bit of money and they played every weekend, and they do it year round. And it's just the camaraderie, the experience of that is pretty cool. It's nothing that we have in the States on a professional or semi-professional level in any sport. So
that was definitely the case for me too. For me, Denmark compared to France was way more of like a brotherhood, and Denmark, it seemed more like, I don't know if the team really even gave a shit I was there. It was like stand in net. So as a goalie, they can kind of just tell you stand in net. But like I had a good relationship with the goalie coach, but the players, it was just kind of like a disconnect. But France was amazing. Like these guys are still my friends to this day. Like you go through that many practices and the pre-training camp and all the sweat, and guys get injured, or some other team wants to fight you, so you stand up to try to fight them because you're the big Canadian. So the one game I remember, I think it was really like boosted myself on the team, but there was like some dickhead team, and it was myself and Christian, the 2 Canadian guys, who were the ones getting into this like scrap, like talking shit. And the culture with the sport, you practice 4 times, 5 times a week, you play the game, you travel. I don't know for you, but for us, some of our games were taking a bus for 4 hours, 5 hours. And it's like that time you bond at the end of the game, someone's got a 24 pack and you're just running around. And it was amazing.
Yeah, it's great. Tell them about preseason. What was your preseason like?
So when I got there, it was we had some old guys that used to play like high level. So they knew what you needed to do. So it was a lot of outdoor running.
Yes. Let's go on a run, guys. Let's go on a 45-minute jog. Like, oh, it sounds awful.
This sucks, guys. I don't know. I've just been playing slow pitch all summer. Like, give me a break.
Yeah, we would go, run 8 or 10 kilometers and then train for 2 hours. And then they started lifting weights at the end, and it was a full thing. So it is a great way to get in shape in 2 weeks. And then towards the end, you'd go maybe train with another team, or, go on a tournament and play 2 or 3 games in a day and train with them. And then, so it's different, but it's awesome.
Yeah, I loved it because we did like circuit training, all that shit. But then like the last little bit, maybe we did pick up basketball, or we did like some canoeing or some team bonding where you're still physical. And it's like, yeah, I like these guys. I can get behind this.
Yeah. Did everybody on your team think they were an all-star basketball player?
Oh yeah, they're all Tony Parker over there.
Oh yeah, that's unbelievable.
And they're
Dirk. Dear. Yeah, it just crushes me.
Yeah.
Well, they're also terrible at soccer. They only play handball because they were bad at soccer, right? In Germany, you grow up, if you're any good at anything, you play soccer, and if not, then you play handball. But
then Christian would bust out a football, and then you've never seen an arm not work the way they're. It's hilarious.
They can hum handballs from every single angle, but they put a football in their hand, and it's foreign. It's a foreign language. Yeah. A lot of ducks for sure.
But it was great. So I did the 2 years with Christian's team. I went to Australia, and then after we went to Greenland with Team Canada, I had another team reach out in France. So I went back, and this was just like a total whim. They're like, "You want to play?" I'm like, "Yeah." Didn't even think it through. I just went. And the other one, at least I had Christian, but now I was a year off of speaking French. I go, and it was best decision ever. It was just right back into it, going to the preseason. Like my coach won Olympic gold with Team France. So he was just super, like he brought me in, super cool guy. And like I had Christmas with him and his family. And it was it was a small town, but You're always in the newspaper. They set me up with a job. It was amazing.
That's
I would tell
fantastic.
people, huh?
I said, that's fantastic. That's incredible to
Yeah.
actually get to a spot that can hook you up with a job, and you've got people there to support you.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was a small town, so everyone knew who I was, and I'm just this Canadian walking around this small town in France, and it was like, oh, good game.
Canadian all-star goalie. That's fantastic.
Yeah, it was fun, man.
Where at in France?
It was called Auray. It was like an hour and a half up the northwest coast, kind of from Nantes. If you go up to the tip, it's Bretagne. That's the region.
Okay.
So it's the same region like Brest, the women's team Brest plays in. But yeah, it was up there. So they're kind of like maritime, and they have their own culture. And it's like this broken Irish, Celtic, French community. And it's like, they have their own language. It was cool, man.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I mean, I wouldn't trade those 3 years in Germany for anything. We talked about going back. I honestly wish we would have stayed. She would have been first division her 4th year, and I got an offer to play second division, which in Germany for an American is relatively okay. And I was only getting better, and we were in phenomenal shape, but made the decision to come home, and we've got 2 beautiful kids to show for it. So, yeah. But the years overseas, I think, are irreplaceable. It sounds like you had the same kind of experience.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I've been living abroad for years now, and wouldn't trade it. Sometimes you always see like, hey, someone bought a big house or whatever, but I could always potentially buy a big house, but I couldn't play semi-pro handball, get paid for it. You can't do that. You got a limited window on that. I can work the rest of my life, but I couldn't play. So
Jen and I's motto: you can always make more money.
Yeah,
I mean, so yeah, we're in the same boat there for sure.
So I want to talk about the US team.
You want to talk national teams?
Yeah, let's talk do that. National team, because that's where I met you and all the guys. Love the guys. And when did you start with the national team? When did you kind of start doing like training camps, make the team? And what was your kind of progress through the national ranks?
So 09, same year that I started with Boston Team Handball, there was just a training session in Lübeck in northern Germany. And Lübeck is a Division II team, and they invited the US and Luxembourg. And we went for a week, and it's a little coastal town, not far from Kiel, actually. And what is it? Is the Baltic up there? Judas, my geography is so bad. whatever.
One of those is
Denmark. It's all right there. But a bunch of young guys. The U.S. was just kind of turning over a new leaf, and I got invited to go to the camp and had a blast. Played for a week, and the Division II Lübeck team just destroyed us. Just men, right? I mean, just guys that they knew how to play, and they're all our size. So great experience. And then I was in Germany and playing and getting better. And so I guess I started in 09 and never really, it was in the pool, started to be in the 30-player pool starting then and had been ever since. So I spent a good solid 10 years, got the very sad email about a year ago that you no longer have to be drug tested or you're no longer in the pool and you've been invited to not play anymore. And it made sense. I mean, if you saw the team play against Luxembourg just this weekend, they're guys that play every day and they, devoted their lives to him. So, it stung, but it is what it is. But I spent those next 2 years getting better and playing on the U.S. team whenever they had international weeks or whatever. It's not the same now as it was then. We would get together maybe once every 6 months, maybe once a year. I mean, you know how it goes. There's no funds, there's nothing. So, but if Team USA or Team Canada calls you, you go. So, we made it work. The Pan Am Games in 11 was my highlight. Named the team and played down there and enjoyed that experience.
Or no,
Guadalajara,
Mexico.
Yeah. So we did the home and home with you guys, and I guess it was December of 2010.
I guess I wasn't on that team at that time.
Yeah, so it was Lake Placid. It was Lake Placid, and then we went up to the high school gym that you guys loved, and we won. We won by 5 at Lake Placid, and so we went in very cocky, and you guys ended up beating us by 5. I think I got 3 yellows and ended up getting a red card. Gary Hines ended up getting a red card. We went to overtime, and then another overtime because it had to be decided by goals, and I think we ended up losing that. And so shouldn't have qualified for Pan Am's, but they had a second chance qualifier, and we went down to Guatemala and dominated a couple of games, I think, and actually made it in. So Canada and us were both there in 11. But that was a highlight of my career. Played for another 8 years, and in 10 years, I loved it. Traveled all over the world, had incredible experiences playing Argentina, playing Brazil, battling against you guys. I just wish there was better funding, obviously, and more structure during my time there. I think they're finally figuring it out, and I'm so excited for the guys. They're good. Most of them are dual citizens, but until we have a pipeline, it's going to have to be that way. And I've all the teams I played on, they're always dual citizens, and so many people are like, they're not even American, and I'm like, yeah, they are. It is what it is. They grew up playing handball. They're Americans just like we are, and so there's always that. Some people are okay with it and some people aren't. And I don't have any issue with it. Some of my best friends are still dual citizens and they speak English and they're American. And as far as I'm concerned, it's great. Another thing I'll say, we went to so many tournaments where we had 6 or 7 guys that could play, and then we had 6 or 7 guys that couldn't. We fielded a team that wasn't necessarily meant to compete. And when you only have a week training camp before you go to these tournaments, it's tough. But I don't know. I must have had 80 teammates in 10 years.
Yeah.
I mean, the guys went through the pipeline. So Gary's been doing it for longer than I have, and has been there. And Devon Jackson's been there forever. And then me for the last 10 years, I think. I'm trying to think of other people that have been around. People come and go, and they either can't dedicate their lives or can't dedicate the resources to do it. And so overall, the most incredible experience in my life, but at the same time, one of the most frustrating. I mean,
I 100% agree. I know everything you're saying. Your generation's a little before mine, but it's not like it improved for us. Like when I started with like the under 18s, I was like 2010 or something, 2009, and we paid our whole way. I had one tournament I didn't have to pay for, and that was hosted Pan Am Games in Toronto. Like everything else.
In 15,
yeah. So you lose all these talented players just because you don't have this structure, you don't have the sponsor, you don't have whatever. So like a lot of teams were like, oh, like we would be so good if him played, but they got to pay for their house. They got to, maybe they're married now, they're students, whatever. It's a tough kind of situation to try to do well at these tournaments because half of them are pro players from these other countries, or where they get funding, and it's like, hey, this is the best we could field with who can actually show up this tournament. So
yeah.
But I loved it. I mean, every time I hear the anthem, it's like, oh shit, yeah, here we go. But oh fuck, like it's a shame how it kind of went sometimes.
Yeah, I know. I mean, we would show up at the same tournaments and we'd be like, well, where's so and so? It's like he literally couldn't get off work, or he couldn't afford to come this time. And it's the same for us. Or, oh, you've got 7 guys that can play, but who are these other 6 guys? I'm like, well, they just started playing 6 months ago. They may not know to get it outside of the 9 for a restart. And you're trying to build a program and do that. And I think we're finally past that point. Like I said, the guys that are playing now, in my prime, I could have played with them without question in my mind, but I'm also a cocky asshole. So there's that. But I watched them play the other day, and they can all pass. They're not throwing, the first time they play with glue, they're not throwing it at people's feet. and they've got a pretty, what is this stuff? And I'm like, yeah. So it's good to see that. And I think we're on the right direction, and we obviously need to be with LA and coming up for the Olympics. But the experiences, right? You're in Guadalajara, or you're in Brazil or Argentina, and you're walking around with 12 other guys that don't speak the language either, and you're figuring it out, and it's Jen and I got to do it together. We got to go to the Pan
Yeah.
Ams together. Like, what husband and wife can say that they've been to a Pan Am games and competed together? So I'll always be grateful for all the opportunities that we had, and obviously there'll always be regrets. But I had a blast. I was captain for 5 or 6 years, and got to work with some great people. And I've got friends all over the United States and somewhat all over the world that I still stay in contact with. So handball's done some pretty special things for me.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. It changed who I was from when I first started playing to where I eventually matured up into the senior ranks. You learn how to, be responsible for what you have to do, but how to work together with these other teammates, how to try to encourage the other without being an asshole, which is sometimes hard. It doesn't come off so easily on the court sometimes, but I wouldn't trade it for anything. Everything that I did with it, I don't know what's going to happen with my career going forward. I think I might be done, but TBD. Throw me in a tournament. I'll see what I can do. But I wouldn't trade it for anything. It was amazing.
Well, I think that's one of the great things about goalies and circles, more so goalies, but age doesn't define you as much.
Yeah. You if you don't get injured, you get better with time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I literally just have to stand on the circle and be fat and catch balls come my way. And people are like, man, your shoulder must hurt. And I'm like, I throw like 5 balls a game. If I catch it, I have to throw it from 6 meters. I'm not throwing back court. I'm not shooting from 13 meters. So I'm like, if I can get my fat ass up and down the court, I'm doing all right. That's
sign me up.
So we've got a tournament tomorrow. I'm flying out to North Carolina tomorrow to go down to Tar Heel Invitational with the athletic club. And
oh, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, so we'll see how that goes.
Hell, I might run into you. I potentially am going to the California Cup or something. There's like a San Fran tournament, I think, maybe.
Yeah.
With the Alberta guys. I might be headed over. I might be making a comeback. Who knows?
Fantastic. That's good.
Like my street ball over here, it's my intensity is picking up every time I'm playing street ball in the neighborhoods.
Yep. Get a little quicker, a little faster. Feeling good.
Feeling fresh. I'm ready to go, coach. But going back to what you said with like the it's complicated when I look at the US Federation, because I look at it with like, I'm friends with a lot of the guys. Like I played against like you guys, I played against a lot of the newer guys, give or take. And it's like, I look at it, I'm super happy for them. And then the other half, I'm just envious as hell because shit isn't moving that way in Canada. I can tell you that.
We've always felt like we haven't had it great, but I do know that talking to you and talking to the guys from Canada, with like almost to every tournament, we at least had funding and didn't have to fund our own way. I mean, you guys are paying your own way, and you don't necessarily have the support that we have. So I know that you guys fight an even bigger battle than we do when it comes down to it. So when I see you guys there, and I hate you guys, but at the same time, it's always nice to have the Canadians at the tournament too. One of my last tournaments, you guys weren't at, and I was just like, "What's the deal?" I think Christian was an assistant coach. He's like, they couldn't get the funding, and they didn't have enough guys that wanted to, shell out $2,000 to do this again.
Yeah.
So, kind of the dedication and the fact that you guys have been able to make it happen with literally not even close to the funding that we have, and I'm complaining about it, says something about you guys. So.
I appreciate it, man. Like we had a nice window when Alexi was our coach. That was my favorite period with the national team.
How was he?
He's great, man. I talked to him.
He's a good dude.
Yeah, he's a great guy. He always acts like he's a sweetheart, but he acts like this Terminator tough kind of guy. But you crack a smile on him, and you're his guy.
Yeah.
But we had this great window, and it was a shame that it kind of came to an end. Because I had some of the guys on an episode, and for all of us with the national team, that was our favorite moments, was that 4-year kind of period we were there with Lex. Because like I went to World Championships as a junior, Pan Am Games Toronto, probably the highlight, but that window of like the team collective, the chemistry, the brotherhood with it, man, I wouldn't trade that. That was the best 4-year period of my handball.
Did you guys have a pretty good core there? 8, 9, 10
Yeah.
guys that were pretty much the same?
Yeah,
We
you could like
never
sub a
really
guy
had
out
that.
with like you couldn't really tell. Like you have your starters, but it wasn't a huge decline when you took a guy out, and it was like guys would adjust to their role and they would do everything they had to, and we fought for each other. And oh man, I love it. Might start
Yeah.
crying just thinking about those games.
But that's what you need to get, right? Like, yeah, you've got a pool of 30 guys, but you got to get to a point where you've got your 15 or 16 and they're there at every tournament and you get a 4 or 5 year window and
Yeah.
then you're good.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to put Greenland down, but they were never as talented as either one of us, but they all played together all the time.
Yeah.
It's the same guy. Though for my 10 years, the same guys for Greenland for 10 years in a row.
Yeah.
And they knew how to play together. I mean, there would be 2 or 3 fringe guys, but they had 10 or 9 or 10 guys at their core, and they could all play. And they had 3 or 4 guys that were way better than I ever was. But they, I feel like they had that for at least my time during the national team. They had that core that could play together. So
yeah, they know. Yeah, when you play together that long, it's like, hey, I trust this guy to, if I'm having a bad game, no problem. Like I want to win this game, and they all fought for each other. And you see that, like when we played against them in Greenland with the crowd and everything, if a guy missed a shot or something, or somehow I made a save, it was just like they picked each other up, and it was that's that beauty of the sport that I fell in love with. That's what I missed the most.
yeah.
I mean, I like throwing the ball and talking shit and stuff, but the main part for me was that locker room after, or the bus trip, or that moment's the parts I don't forget.
Yeah, that's what sports has always been all about for me. I agree. I was never going to make it to the NBA or anywhere else, but that camaraderie and the experiences you get with teammates is irreplaceable. I think I 100% agree with that.
Yeah. So I've got one more question for you, and then I didn't tell you, but I'm going to do a rapid fire. So I like to throw that on my guests at the end.
Fantastic. I'm ready.
So before we get into rapid fire, your kids, you think they're going to follow suit? Are these handballers?
So they have handballs. Christian made sure that as soon as Charlotte was born, nicest thing he's ever done. No, they have handballs. We've always said if they want to grow up and be 7-foot piano players, great. We're going to support them, whatever they want to do. They're into basketball and soccer, and Charlotte dances, and we try to show them handball. I'm coaching Charlotte right now in basketball, and she won't listen to me, but she'll listen to all the other coaches and everything else. And we're not trying to implore upon them, but her dad and her mom were pretty good basketball players at a somewhat high level. And may or may not know more than the coach down the block, but it's irrelevant because she's not listening anyway. So my ideal goal for them would be, if they're interested, we'll obviously give them the chance. They've been going to handball tournaments since they were born. I mean, they've been on the sideline. So they have watched it, and if they want to play, we'll play. And I don't care how good or bad or whatever he is or she is at basketball or soccer or whatever. If they want to take a year like in high school and go overseas and play handball, like we will encourage it. Absolutely. So we're trying to take a path of not forcing sports on our kids, because we want them to do whatever the hell they want to do. But if they show interest in it, we will give them the opportunity to pursue it. Absolutely. No question about it.
I love it.
So hopefully they play sports and want to play sports. My parents were like, hey, if you get a scholarship to college, we've got money saved up to pay for your college, but we'll buy you a car or whatever. So it's kind of the same deal. Like, hey, we're going to try to be responsible and save money for your college, but if you want to go get a scholarship and go for free, that's also all right. So,
that's fine by us as well.
We don't, like I said, we're trying not to put any pressure on them, because we don't believe in specialization. I will not have my kid playing just basketball from 10 on year round. Jen played like 95 sports and I played 3 or 4, and we feel like it's so much better. Cross training and everything else. So hopefully she continues to dance and play the guitar and play basketball and play soccer. And when she's 18, if she gets an offer to go play at a college, great. And if she wants to go play handball, and if she doesn't want to do anything at all and not go to college and go work or do whatever, then great. As long as she's happy, we don't care. But they've been introduced to handball, and they will see it more as they grow up.
I love it, man. I see all your like family pics and stuff. You guys are just having a time. Just beautiful family.
Thank you. I appreciate that. We're working on patience with me. Kids will test you, but we love them, and we just want to have fun. If you're not having fun in life, what's the point? You know, like you said, you can always make more money. You took the dive and went to France multiple different times to play, and you've obviously given up other things. I mean, your book that I got to read, and I've actually got some questions for you that I'd like to pepper you with after we're done with me, and you know, the experience. Go have fun. If you're not having fun, what's the point? I mean, you got to work, got to make a little bit of money, but live life to the fullest, man. I don't get people that are. I shouldn't say I don't get people that are sad all the time. The glass is half full here, and we usually fill it up, to be honest. So
full a couple times. Okay, man. Yeah, I 100% agree. It's like I went to my 10-year high school grad reunion like 2 years ago or something, and guys are like, "Man, what you're doing is amazing." I'm like, well, I mean, for the most part, you can go travel and do it. Just go do it. Why not? You're gonna regret it later.
Yep.
So, anywho, I'm gonna jump into this rapid fire here. I don't want to get you too.
Let's go.
Bruins are gonna probably end up winning soon. It's probably timed out that way. So, anywho, rapid fire. What's this one I see on your pictures too, but what's the best meal you cook?
Best meal that I cook.
Yeah. What would be if you had to impress someone with something you make, what is it?
So it used to be fettuccine chicken Alfredo. So I had a guy take me under his wing at Binghamton University, Nick Billings, 7-footer from Alaska. God bless his soul. Love that guy. Love it. He was like a surrogate father to me at Binghamton, and he taught me how to make it. Pour a bunch of butter into the pan, cut up the chicken. We're cooking chicken. We got Alfredo. We got so that would have been my go-to back in the day. But the white sauce and all the butter and all that, we kind of cut that out. So if I'm going to cook a meal, you're coming over to the house.
Yeah. And you're like, I got to impress this guy.
We're either going to do homemade pizza.
Nice.
Just because you can do whatever you want, right?
Yeah.
So listen, I'm going to cut up 18 different things, pepperoni, sausage, if you don't like meat, whatever, mozzarella, you know, we're going to do homemade pizza and have a ball with it. Or we're probably going to do like a taco burrito bar. Same thing, right? Like chop up peppers, everything, make some homemade guacamole, do that kind of stuff. And we're gonna cook up some chicken and some ground beef, and you can build your own burrito, man, or taco salad or whatever you want to do. So
those are great answers. Like those are two things I can just keep eating. I shouldn't easily could.
Try stopping pizza, man. You cut up the pizza right, and you got like, all right, I'm gonna have like we all make our own pizzas because we have some allergies in the house and we don't share. Yeah. So like I'm like four pieces in. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna save the other 4 pieces for tomorrow, whatever. And we're just watching the Bruins or we're watching a family movie, and all of a sudden all the pizza's gone. You just can't stop.
Yes. What's the point of this half-eaten box or whatever you got?
Exactly.
Next question. Who's the best player you ever played against? Could you name somebody that you think, or maybe even a team was the best team you ever played?
Probably the Simone brothers.
Yeah, those guys
are from Argentina.
Yeah.
Man, I just went blank. The big kid was just coming on for Brazil that's playing overseas now, that's playing for a Champions League team. And I can't remember his name, but the big dude with the fro that's tall.
Yeah, plays for Barcelona.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, you know, those guys, I played with some freaks in Germany. I played with a kid that could have gone Division I, Division II, decided to stay at Division III with their family, whatever, and was shooting shots, you know, parallel to the ground and just doing stuff that you just don't see normally. That whole Argentina team and the Brazil team, I guess, would probably be the top end of what I've seen and played against. there were some freaks in Germany that could do some stuff. You know, the young kids that had grown up in the club and were going to spend time at the Division III for maybe for that year, and then they were going to be gone, right? So, but yeah.
All right. I agree. Those guys were. It was always fun playing them because even though you'd get just pummeled, it was always like you want to test what you got.
Yeah. Like playing against Carew, who's like, I don't know, like 80 now and it maybe just retired. I don't know, the circle from Argentina. You didn't ever want to be in awe. You respected the people you played against, obviously, and you didn't want to be like, oh, like that's the Michael Jordan of Pan Am handball. But at the same time, like it was cool to be out there. And then at the same time, at the size that I was, I could go out there and hurt people. So it was fun. It was like, yeah, you're good and you're big, but I'm just as strong as you and just as big as you. So you may be better technically, but we're going to battle at least.
We're going for it.
Yeah. So, that caliber guy it was always the Argentina and Brazil, and it was probably the best I played against one-on-one.
All right, this next one you got to be honest. And last weekend maybe changed your answer, but are the Broncos going to the playoffs? You're on record now. Like I thought they were done, and then they win last weekend. I don't know.
They go 3-0, and then they drop 4 straight, right? And then they win last weekend. And I'm not a huge Teddy Two Gloves fan, but he seems to be fine. And they play the Eagles this weekend. We could be 6-4.
Yeah.
And normally the Chiefs are like 12-4, and either the Chargers or the Raiders are also like 10-6. So out of the AFC West, got to be.
You don't know.
Everybody's in the middle, and we trade our best defensive player, the man, the myth. He's fantastic, and he's gone, and we win. So, I don't know if you listen to the Bill Simmons podcast or have ever heard it, but the Ewing theory, where Ewing was the best player on their team, but they were better without him. Yeah. And all of a sudden, the defense was again looked like the old Broncos defense last weekend without Miller. So, I love the man to death, but was there a little Ewing theory there where he leaves and they get better? So I don't know. I am a betting man, and I have not bet for the Broncos to make the playoffs just because of the AFC West, but they're at least exciting, you know.
That's true.
At least they're winning a few games. So,
all right. So on an international level, what was your least favorite country to play against? Was there
Uruguay?
Just no doubt.
Fuck those guys. There's like 1 or 2 fat guys that aren't even tall, right? They're like 6'2".
Exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah, you know who I'm talking about. And then there's like 18 guys that are 5'8" and squirrely. And they don't look like they can play handball. They're warming up and they look worse than us. Like you're always looking at the other team during warm-ups. Like, oh, can they throw the ball with glue? Like, stupid little shit
or something. Yeah.
Yeah. And for Pan Am's for 2015, all we had to do was go down there and beat them. We crushed them in Auburn. And the same kind of deal. We had to go down there and we're full of confidence, and they're bad, and we've just beaten them. And we laid a total fucking egg. And I'll never forget that gym. It's the squatty potties and the shitters, and there's not a real shitter in there. There's not a toilet to sit on, and it's loud, and they've got all these noise makers, and we just shit the bed. And so I will never forget that game. I will never forget that trip, and I will fuck Uruguay.
I love this answer. I'm just stirring up some shit before bed.
Yeah, you got my heart hurting now. I'm all excited. I'm all jazzed up.
So on a positive question,
yeah,
what was the favorite country that you went to play in, like with a club or with the national team? What was your favorite country, maybe, or name a few that you loved?
Okay, very first trip, Lübeck was great. One of my first times in Germany. Marzipan is from that area. Yeah. Got to see high level handball, got to travel around. That was great. Argentina, Buenos Aires, I find beautiful. I always enjoyed going there. Yeah. They had smaller gyms, like maybe 2,000 or 3,000, but they always packed it out. So you felt important all of a sudden. You're playing it was a handball court made for handball, and the fans were enthusiastic and passionate, so that was always great. We had some rivalry games in Germany that when I was at Gelnhausen, I don't know, maybe 1,000 people in the stands, but it was packed, right? And the
Yeah.
drums and the atmosphere and the coffee before the games with the team, and then you're playing. And it was just a mindset for me that when fans were packed and you just had a mindset where you were going to be aggressive and go after it. And I was playing maybe 45, 50 minutes at that point in time. And so I was in shape, I was fit, and things were great. And you'd win a game. And, after the game, it was beers and sausages with the fans. And these people looked up to you and idolized you, and little kids. And it was awesome. I mean, it's everything you dreamed about growing up playing, right? Whatever sport you played. So any of those rivalry games in Germany were great. And going to a rivalry game away and destroying fans' dreams and hopes and winning a game on the road, right? And
Great, yeah.
Just a big FU to everybody. And then but after the game, even then, like, you'd still, for the most part, hug and hand pound the guys that you played against.
You had a big battle with
them,
drink a beer with somebody, and yeah.
Exactly. So just the experience is we traveled all over the world for this game. I mean, it's silly, but it's a lot of fun. So I would have to say Argentina, and then those rivalry games in Germany were top notch.
I like it. I got 2 more questions for you.
All right, let's go.
One's gonna be easy, and we'll see how the last one goes. So you're going on vacation with the fam? You going to the beach or the mountains?
We're going camping. We're going to the lake. So we go camping all summer with my in-laws mostly, but we'll go camping with friends or whatever. So we're lake people. I don't mind going to the beach.
Yeah.
I'd much rather swim in a lake than go to the ocean. So we are mountain and lake people for
Nice.
sure.
And so who's the better handball player, you or Jen?
She, as far as a top end level, she is better. Yeah. She was a better basketball player. She was a better handball player. She would have played Division I in Germany, no question. Defensively, she, and maybe the next time you talk to Christian, she's probably I'm biased, obviously, because I sleep with her at night, but she was probably the best defensive player for the US team the last 10, 12, 15 years. I mean, her defense is unbelievable. Yeah. Didn't grow up playing a throwing sport, so never really got the throwing aspect down and the scoring aspect, but you could see her play now and say, yeah, she's basically a defensive specialist. But I saw her play her second year in Germany. She was working with a coach and was playing center back and was facilitating and was figuring out the offense and was scoring, throwing it underneath and throwing it over the top. So she had it in her, but then towards the end of her career, just focused on defense. Whereas I could always score the ball. And as a big bruiser in the middle defender, I was okay, but never as good as her. So she overall is a better player, but I was probably better offensively than she was.
I like it. I appreciate the honesty.
Yeah.
She might be listening, so.
She might eventually, yeah. I don't know where she's ever at. I don't want to sleep on the couch.
That's what I've got for you tonight, sir.
You got time for me for a couple of questions?
Yeah, but how good are these questions? Should my audience hear them?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
Is the hot dog a sandwich?
I wouldn't consider it, even though I don't know. It doesn't. When you say sandwich, it's not what I picture at all. No.
Thank you. Good. Do you floss before or after you brush?
I floss before.
Floss. Thank you.
Thank you. Get out. I don't want to brush, and I feel like it's not fully clean. I'm brushing, so you gut it, and then you brush, and you're boom.
It makes so much sense. Thank you. We're on the same team there. What was the favorite diamond that you visited? Favorite ballpark?
San Francisco.
Really?
Yeah.
Can you walk around? Like, can you see the bay?
Yeah.
I got to read your book. I got to buy your book. But did you do like a full tour before? Were you there all day, or some of them you just hit for just a game? Or
some of them we hit just a game and left right after and stuff like that. But San Francisco was special because there was some
Candlestick, Comiskey, what's it called?
It's Oracle Park now.
Oracle Park.
Yeah. So there was like this woman I met. She started a company where they hook up travelers with locals of sports teams, and then you go to the games with the locals.
Okay.
So we had this old guy named Steve, and he's probably like 72. He's seen like every Giants game ever. He took us into Gotham. It's called like Gotham Bar or something. It's behind the brick wall. There's a bar in there, and you go in there for like the VIPs and stuff, and then you can get onto part of the field while they're doing batting practice. You can see McCubby Cove where the guy's in his kayak, and like the ball came at one point, and Steve, just so old but so just lively, loved it, dove on the ground, got us this ball, fought like this other people to get this ball, and we Dushin still has the ball because it hit Dushin in the leg, and then Steve
Incredible.
dove around and got it. Yeah,
That's awesome.
So for me, and it's the views. You go up in upper right field, you can see the bay, you can see the bridges, you overlook, and you can't beat the view. And then, so at the end of the book, I had to actually sit down and try to rank the 30 stadiums. So I give my piece, and number 2 is Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
Pittsburgh's
unbelievable. There's 3 stadiums right there. It's
beautiful. You see all these bridges in downtown. Yeah.
We went to a Frozen 4 there and loved it. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. So those are
those are your top 2. Did you like Coors?
I did. Yeah, it was all right.
Did the K, when you were there, did the K have the waterfall and could walk all the way around, had the fountains and everything in Kansas City?
Yeah, we walked around.
That's my hometown. That's the K special with back when I was growing up, you get $4 tickets, man. The Royals. But
it was a crazy game. Alex Gordon pitched 2 innings because they were getting just shit pumped by like the A's. They lost like 18-1 or something.
Unbelievable. So Fenway or Wrigley?
Fenway.
Good call.
I like a lot of the mystique about Wrigley, but it's very compact. And where our seats were, the old design, there's like these pillars in the way, and I mean, there's so much history. It's beautiful, like the ivy, everything's cool, but it's not the best just stadium. If you took the story out of it, it's it is what it is.
The beer's good. Old Town, what's the local beer? I'm gonna get castrated by my Chicago. The beer's there is good. What is the best part about being Canadian?
Free healthcare.
That's fair.
Also, traveling. Everyone's so much friendlier to you when you're Canadian, not American. I can tell you that.
I never thought about that.
Because growing up, they always tell you, hey, put a Canadian patch on your bag or something. Because when people find out you're Canadian, you get treated differently. And everywhere I lived, when they're like, oh, you're American? I'm like, no, I'm Canadian. And they're like, oh, and like the mindset changes completely.
Little travel hack there. We talked about handball a little bit, so there's that. Why should people buy your book?
Well, it's going to help me pay for my Christmas gifts, but for me, I think people should buy the book because I think it's so many people talk about that journey. Like, hey, I'm going to do it one day. And if you're a baseball fan or not, but it's the great American road trip at the same time, because a lot of the book isn't just baseball. But as a lot of people talk that journey, but they're never going to do it. And I go into all the detail, good and bad stuff.
Is it satirical? So is it funny or satirical?
All the stories in between, and the Dushin fainting in the Vegas buffet. All those stories are in there. And at the same time, just personal on a bucket list. My number 1 bucket list was to do that road trip. My number 2 was to write a book, and I was able to do them both at the same time.
Awesome.
So yeah,
awesome. I'm so in awe of people that actually do it, and then actually they can write a book and do it. So congratulations to you. Props to you. That's awesome. Is Hummel the best gear you've ever worn?
Yeah. Not shoes wise though.
Shoes, they still struggle. Every time we went over to sales meetings, man, they're like, we're still trying to figure this out. I'm like, well, figure it the fuck out, because I'm trying to sell these things and peddle these things, and I'm wearing them and they're falling apart, or I've grown accustomed to them, but they still haven't figured out the sole on one of them. So it's,
and like, I like the rest of the gear though, like the wristbands, socks, everything's nice, but the shoes are always hit and miss. My current gym shoes are a pair of Hummels. My last club was sponsored, so the guy who just gave us free shoes. And like they're lasting, they're fine, but the other pair he gave me broke apart real quick. So it's like,
yeah. All right, two more questions, and then we can go to bed. What's the best Canadian cuisine? If it is a Canadian food,
because everyone's thinking I'm going poutine here because that's the stereotypical thing. But for me,
right.
it's Alberta beef. The beef,
Okay.
the steak and burgers and everything made from Alberta raised cows. This is going to boost my Alberta audience here. But
is it a thing? Like you're in Canada, like is it from like you're eating a steak? Is this Alberta beef or is it?
Yeah, like it's a higher quality. I don't know what the difference is, but everyone's like Alberta beef. You got to get it. So I'm going with that.
Okay. Do you drink alcohol?
Yes.
Do you prefer beer or what's your preference? Before
I think I'm more of a beer guy, but if we have to kick down, I'm probably going to rum.
Okay. What's your favorite beer then? What's the best beer?
Depends on the weather, but generally if I'm going out, I'm starting with like a Guinness or a dark, a heavy, and then I'll gradually get lighter as the night goes, because you can't just drink a Guinness all night long. But
no,
normally it's you go to a restaurant, it's the house brown or whatever their dark ale is. That's usually where yeah.
Dark beer guy. Good for you, man. Good for you. The little bit of time I spent in France, their beer is garbage. Especially after living in Germany. But I'll crack a Molson if we're watching hockey. So I don't have anything, I'm pretty wide.
I'm a sucker for Lef, the Belgian beer.
Yeah. Real
the gold one. That was our drink in Denmark. We would go to the same bar, all the classmates. You get the big goblet like this. You get a discount because you're a student, and boom, have two of those, and you don't know where you end up.
Yeah, the local beer in Germany, that's all you get, and it's great. I mean, the place that we went to, if we won, the bar that we would spend the night at would fill up a boot for us, which I didn't know was a real thing. They have a real boot behind the bar, and you would pass it around, and you had special handshakes and everything, and it was that's probably my most favorite memory, is drinking boots with 15 other guys in a shady bar. Oh, this has been great, man.
I appreciate you. I want to talk to like you guys, because like the guys I know the best are you and Gabe. So I wanted to speak to kind of the older generation, kind of see what they were thinking. And I'm like, Jordan, my guy, like I played against you a couple times. It's been good. And I'm like, this is going to be a good chat.
There's nothing better than that first. It's always the first one, right? If I can get the first one by you, then I'm like, okay, I got a leg up. And if you block the first one, I'm like, you know what? I'm fucked the rest of the game. I don't even pass it to me. It's just a mental thing with circles and goalies. I feel like it's a mental thing.
I think it switches, because it's like you're close. You shoot from the 6, so you're close. But if it's like, oh shit, he stopped me 1 or 2 in a row, it's like, oh, okay, now I'm in my head. Now he's got me.
Yeah.
So.
And I just end up throwing it at him the rest of the time. Gabe's the same way. We'll be in practice, and Gabe's like, I own you today, and I won't score the whole day. And then the next day, I'm 10 for 10. So, but we had some great battles and a lot of fun, and it's special what handball's kind of brought here, and the fact that we get a chat. So
100%, man. I'm gonna wrap this one up. I appreciate you coming on. Thank you again. And
it was my pleasure. Go buy his book, everybody. I'm gonna go buy it now. I don't read as much as I should. I'm in the
perfect Christmas.
I'm reading Harry Potter to the kids, right? So
perfect gift for everyone you know.
Absolutely. Buy multiple copies and send it as Christmas gifts. I bet you he'll sign it if you send it to him.
Yeah, send it. I'll send it right back.
Perfect.
Jordan,
thanks so much, man.
And to everyone listening, this has been the Always Moving Podcast, episode 40. And as we say around here, let's keep this thing moving.